Welcome back to another English lesson. It is very early in the morning right here. You can see the moon is still out, but we need to talk about Iran and the United States again. The United States is sending over a bunch of warships towards Iran. And you know what? The US did this to another country not too many weeks ago. Do you remember that little thing with Venezuela? Well, I don't know. Is the US going to do the same thing to Iran? It is something we need to talk about. Is regime change coming soon to Iran? We already know the rumors, maybe over 30,000 people have been killed by the regime in Iran, and many people in the US, they don't like that. So let's take a look at a news story to help you improve your English. I'm going to go downstairs where I can teach a little bit better and where it's a little bit warmer. While I do that, please watch the newscast and also hit that like button. And if this is your first time here, go ahead and subscribe. See you in just a minute.
The U.S. has sent another warship to the Middle East amid a large military buildup in the region. According to a Navy official, the USS Delbert Black, a Navy destroyer, has entered the Middle East. So this brings the total number of destroyers in the region to 6. That's in addition to 3 combat ships and the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln. On Wednesday, President Trump warned a massive armada was heading toward Iran. With the U.S.'s military buildup growing in the region, several Mideast allies, including Turkey, are trying to broker diplomatic talks.
Let's get right into it. The glasses are on, which means we are serious. About 20 terms for you today to help you understand the news. The first one is warship. It's a very generic term. We will talk about a couple specific types of warships in a minute. This first one is just a general or a generic term. And for each of these terms, I will have the official definition. I will use it in a sentence, and I will have a picture that helps you understand what the word means. So a warship is a big boat built just for fighting wars. Exactly what it sounds like. The warship left the port to protect the coast. Now, let's talk about the part of the world they mention in the newscast, and that is the Middle East. There are many countries of the Middle East. Maybe we should take a look at a map. You can see Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Turkey. Let's make it a little bigger. Yeah, they mostly speak Arabic, but then you have Israel, which is part of the Middle East. And I know some people in the comments will say, Israel is not a real country. Well, they have a powerful army, and they might be one of the most powerful militaries in the world. So yeah, they are a real country, or at least one we should talk about. There's Turkey. They don't speak Arabic, but this is the region of the world they are talking about in the newscast as these warships get closer and closer to Iran. Definition for Middle East: a hot, sandy part of the world with countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Egypt. Let's use the Middle East in a sentence. The Middle East has a lot of history and deserts. At one time, this whole region was called, at least in English, the Ottoman Empire. Delbert Black. This is a Navy ship named for a guy we will talk about briefly. I have never heard of this man, but I guess he did some great things for the Navy. So let's help you practice some English with this definition. It's just the name of a specific U.S. Navy ship. Here's a sentence. The Delbert Black is out sailing in the ocean right now. Yeah, it is getting closer and closer to Iran. Who was this guy? He was the very first top leader for enlisted sailors in the U.S. Navy. He started this important job in 1967. He worked hard to help other sailors and their families. So a lot of times, if somebody is very important in the United States, maybe a president, maybe somebody who did great things for our military, we will name a ship after them. I think a little later, we will talk about the Abraham Lincoln, a Navy destroyer. I live very close to a shipyard where these destroyers are built. It's called Bath, Maine. It's only about 30 minutes from my house. Here's the definition for a Navy destroyer: fast. A fast ship that acts like a bodyguard for other ships, keeping them safe from submarines. Now, submarines is not one of our terms, but when you see sub in English, think below. So a submarine, marine often means water. Submarine is a boat, ship, weapon that can go under the water. Men and women, soldiers are usually in that ship, that submarine. Here's a sentence. The Navy destroyer raced over to stop the enemy sub. And sometimes we'll just call submarines subs. Next, we have combat ships. Combat, it means war, very much like warships, like we talked about before. But these are boats that are armed with weapons and ready to rumble. Rumble is another way, maybe a slang way, to say they are going to fight. They sent 3 combat ships to the danger zone. Guess what? There are more than 3 ships that are going to Iran right now. Next, we have an aircraft carrier. And if you look at the thumbnail for this video, in the background, there is an aircraft carrier. These things are huge. Planes can take off and land on these ships. Here is the official definition for an aircraft carrier: a floating airport, a giant ship with a flat top for planes to take off and land. The jet landed right on the deck of the aircraft carrier. Abraham Lincoln, he was our 16th president during the Civil War, but here there is a ship named after him, an aircraft carrier, a very powerful ship. Here's the definition, one of many definitions for Abraham Lincoln: a famous U.S. president, but in this news story, it's the name of a huge ship. The USS Abraham Lincoln is one of the biggest ships out there. An armada. An armada. I believe that is a term we get from Spanish. I could be wrong. If you are a Spanish speaker, let me know. It's basically a whole bunch of warships sailing together like a gang. An armada of ships showed up on the horizon. And the horizon in English is where the sky meets the land. I believe we have talked about allies before on this channel. Those are friends who stick together and help each other, especially in a fight. And in the picture, you can see the flags of France and the United States. Yeah, I would say France and the United States are allies. Here's a sentence. France and the United States were allies in the big war. Next, we have broker. This can be a verb and it can be a noun, and they're basically the same thing. Here we have it as a verb. It means to help two sides, shake hands, and make a deal. So the man in the middle could be called a broker, and we could also say that he is brokering a deal. The diplomat tried to broker a peace deal between the countries. What does it mean if a person or a country is diplomatic? Diplomatic. It means being smooth and polite so you don't start an argument. He tried to be diplomatic instead of starting a fight. Now, please let me know in the comments. I am an American, so it's hard for me to tell. Do you think the United States is a diplomatic country? Are they more likely to try to make a peace deal, or are they more likely to start a war? I am very curious.
That's according to multiple regional officials who spoke to CBS News. At a White House cabinet meeting Thursday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the Pentagon was ready for any order by President Trump.
They have all the options to make a deal. They should not pursue nuclear capabilities. We will be prepared to deliver whatever this president expects of the War Department.
Sam Vinograd joins us now. She's a CBS News national security contributor. So, Sam, how have you interpreted the administration's messaging toward Iran?
What I am interpreting is that the United States is preparing for all contingencies.
Regional. That means just dealing with a local area, not the whole big country. And Iran is warning of a regional war if the U.S. gets too close. They're not saying the entire Middle East is going to war, just part of it. Here we have an example with weather. The rain was just a regional problem, not everywhere. A couple weeks ago, we had a major snowstorm. I did an English lesson about it. It wasn't really a regional problem. It affected most of the country. The president has a cabinet. His cabinet are the people who are closest to him and help him with deals. Here's the definition of a cabinet meeting. That is when the president sits down with his top helpers to talk shop. They talk about the business of the country. Here's a sentence. The president talked about the new law during the cabinet meetings. One cabinet member is the Secretary of Defense, or you might also hear him called the Secretary of War. That name has been changed in some places. We'll take a look at the Wikipedia page in just a minute. But let's talk about who Pete Hegseth is. Pete Hegseth. He is the current Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of War. Pete Hegseth was on TV talking about the Army. Now, here we have the Secretary of War, same as the Secretary of Defense. For over 100 years, this name was not used. We always called this person the Secretary of Defense. A couple months ago, President Trump changed the name. Here's the official definition. The old school name for the boss of the Army. Now, technically, the president is called the commander-in-chief. That is the real boss of the military. But the Secretary of War is very, very important. Here's a sentence that uses the Secretary of War. The Secretary of War told the president the troops were ready. Now, this is what the Wikipedia page looks like for the Secretary of Defense. And you can see right on the right there are two names. It says the Secretary of War and the Secretary of Defense. It depends on who you ask. Maybe Republicans will say the Secretary of War and Democrats will say the Secretary of Defense. What does it mean if you have several options? In the picture, you can see there is option A and there is option B. Here's the official definition. The different choices you've got to choose from. So when you are studying English, you have a lot of different options. You can choose to watch me, and you are choosing to watch me, so thank you very much. But there are a lot of other good English teachers here on YouTube. You have many options. Here's a sentence. We have two options. Stay here or go home. Next, we have a verb, pursue. Pursue, that means to chase after something you really want. And I'm sure right now you are pursuing your dream of speaking better English. But in the picture, we have some scientists, it looks like. She wants to pursue a job in science. Interpreted. Sometimes I have trouble saying that word. Interpreted. That means how you understood what someone meant. Now, sometimes you can interpret different languages. Like I'm speaking English right now. Somebody could interpret what I say into, say, like Russian. But in the newscast, they talked about two English speakers. So they are trying to interpret what that person said. I interpret his silence as a no. Just because they're silent doesn't always mean they mean no, but maybe in this case it does. Contingencies, great word to know in English. Contingencies, you might see this on the IELTS or TOEFL exam. Those are backup plans for when things go wrong. Like if we had a really bad snowstorm and I lost electricity, my contingency plan is to go up to my brother's house because he has a wood stove. I will be able to stay warm up there. My heat runs on electricity, so if I lose power, my house is going to get very cold. Let's look at a sentence that uses contingencies. We have contingencies ready in case the power goes out. And you can see in that picture some of their contingencies. They have a flashlight. Of course, you will need bottled water. A portable phone charger is always great. I remember I made an English lesson with my brother. There was a big snowstorm and we went out plowing. I had lost power in my house and I used my car, the battery in my car, to charge my phone. That was one of my contingencies.
So it's clear that they're preparing for all kinds of contingencies. The question is the objective. Are they trying to punish the regime for their actions against protesters, which is where we were a week ago? Are they trying to curb the nuclear program, or are they trying to unseat the regime? My guess is, Lindsay, that they're trying to accomplish a lot of things using various tools. The military buildup is the most visible, but I would guess that covert diplomatic talks are underway, in addition to the ones that are happening publicly, as well as exploring a range of covert action programs to try to topple the regime or try to diminish further their hold on power.
Curtail. We have another verb here, curtail. That means to cut something short or put a lid on it. That is an idiom. In other words, you stop it. We had to curtail the meeting because of the fire alarm. The objective. What is your objective for learning English? Let's get the official definition. The main thing you are trying to get done. Maybe your objective is to get a better job. The objective of soccer is to put the ball in the net. Curb. This is a tricky word in English. It has a couple different meanings, but in the newscast, they used it as a verb, and it means to keep something under control, sort of like putting a leash on it. It's another idiom right there. You know what I am trying to do in this new year? Curb my eating. I eat too much. Here's a sentence. You should curb your spending if you want to save cash. Next, we have unseat. Unseat. That means to kick someone out of their job or their seat of power. I'm sure Democrats would really like to unseat President Trump. Here is a sentence that uses unseat. The voters tried to unseat the mayor in the election. Covert. Covert, that means hush hush. In other words, done in secret so nobody catches you. Now, the United States is not trying to send those ships over to Iran covertly. No, they're doing it out in the open. They're letting Iran know, hey, we are coming for you. But if you are a spy, I'm sure you want to do most things covertly. The spies went on a covert mission at night. What? You made it to the end of another English lesson? Congratulations. High five. High five. If you're looking for more English, right down there is an English lesson about, guess who? Iran again. Iran and the US have been in the news quite a bit lately. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.